It looks like it's almost done, isn't it? Julian Alvarez to make that move from Manchester City to Atletico Madrid. It will be by far the most expensive departure we've ever seen from City. 95 million euros is the fee. Don and Ali are with me. Ali, with all your travelling, we haven't had a chance to discuss this. I've discussed it with pretty much everyone, so I'll ask you the same question because I'm not that special.
Okay.
If you were Julian Alvarez, would you have left?
You almost couldn't even get the question out.
I've asked
said it that many times.
I've asked it a lot.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's time for Julian Alvarez. It's time for him to go and search for something else, something different. And as successful as he has been for Manchester City, the truth of the matter is that he wasn't going to play. He wasn't going to play consistently. He wasn't going to play in front of Erling Haaland. And so I look at a player that has achieved just about everything there is to achieve in the game, not only with his club team, but with his national team, and has proven that he is a talented player, and he's pleading, yelling out, screaming for an opportunity to play consistently, and now he's going to get that at Atletico Madrid. I really think it's a good time for him to go. It's a good time for him to go and take on a different challenge. And at Atletico Madrid, he's going to find a team that he isn't going to be the only one working like he does for Lionel Messi with the Argentina national team. It's a team that is going to be made of workers as well. And some of that work will be done for him so that he finds himself in a position to score goals more consistently than he did at Manchester City.
It's a lot of money, isn't it?
And this is the other part of the discussion, is that I'm surprised that Atletico Madrid are spending this sort of money, a club that is not known for spending money to this extent. And is Julian Alvarez significantly better than Alvaro Morata? But once Alvaro Morata made the decision to go, and he made the decision to go basically because he was sort of pushed out the door by Atletico Madrid. And so is this a substantial improvement? I'm guessing in terms of age it is, in terms of productivity. We don't know that yet. We don't know if Julian Alvarez can be that guy for the length of the season, but we did know that Alvaro Morata at times would score and at times he wouldn't. Julian Alvarez, if you're Diego Simeone, you're looking for the consistency to be that guy over the course of a long, long season, which Morata wasn't.
Where does he fit in to this Atleti side?
The fact that you've had this conversation so many times has allowed you to come up with all the key questions.
There you are, you see, just like that.
Yeah.
And I just ignore Don.
Yes, well, that too. That's always a good idea. It's interesting because they have Sorloth in place.
Yep.
Now, I think that Julian Alvarez is a better player than Sorloth.
Don hates Sorloth.
Well, I don't know why he hates Sorloth, but I think Sorloth is a useful player. And if Julian Alvarez is smart and intelligent in the way that he plays the game, I believe he can play in and around Sorloth and be the guy who's sneaking into the back post, sneaking into the near post, wherever opposite of Sorloth is. And Griezmann can be the guy that can provide the service and float around as well. I think there's going to be a lot of flexibility in Atletico Madrid. It's whether Diego Simeone is willing to experiment with that flexibility. And while I'm talking to you, Dan,
yes.
I see Don over here shaking his head, and I don't know what your problem is.
I'll tell you what my problem is with that 11.
Okay.
Because we talk about Alvarez leaving Man City for lack of game time, even though he played a lot of games, and it's great money for Man City. When he has the conversation with Simeone, when Simeone tells him he's going to be the top man, tells him he's going to be the best number 9, he ain't going there and playing on the right wing.
Now, see, what you don't understand about my formation, Don...
Oh, it's fluid, is it?
It's fluid.
Oh, yes.
It's fluid.
Oh,
I can have players coming in and out of position.
Oh, yeah.
Sorloth usually will stay central,
Yep.
but Griezmann will float. And if Griezmann floats, then Julian Alvarez can float. And if he floats to the inside, Nahuel Molina can support from the right-hand side. If it's not Nahuel Molina, it'll be Marco Llorente. They have flexibility if Simeone wants to be flexible. But that's yet another conversation. How willing is Diego Simeone to take chances going forward? He has the personnel, according to that 11, to take chances going forward. Samuel Lino can be a guy that can support from the left-hand side. You have enough in the attack to go and threaten teams, but the personality of this group and the personality of this team, more importantly, the personality of this coach, hasn't been a risky personality. Julian Alvarez, I think, is going to be good for Atletico Madrid, and I do think that this was a move that was necessary for him. It was time for him to play.
How competitive can this Atleti side be?
Well, they're not to the level of Real Madrid. And so now what they can think about is potentially being to the level of Barcelona. And if I am to trust a manager to have a plan in place, well, I think I trust Diego Simeone more than I do Hansi Flick, because we don't really know. We don't really know what's going to happen with Hansi Flick. Regardless, I do think that the talent level at Barcelona, at their best, is superior to that of Atletico Madrid. So they'll fight with Barcelona, but they're not to the level of Real Madrid.
What does City do next?
It's a good question. What I would say, when you looked at that list before, in terms of the money that's been brought in, £350 million in Sane, so they've obviously recouped really well. And 95 for Alvarez is a brilliant fee. However, you've got to go and spend that. And you've got to go and convince someone to sit behind Erling Haaland and potentially sit on the bench. That's the trouble. So who are you going to buy for, I don't know, whatever the fee might be, 50, 60 million pound, when you're looking at top players to sit behind Haaland?
That doesn't exist, does it?
No, it doesn't exist. So you're going to have to buy, or you're going to have to be smart, which Guardiola will, and he'll have targets, I'm pretty sure. He's not just going to let Alvarez go for 95 million and think, well, that's our squad done for the season. It'd be more or less impossible. You know, Pep's always said about, you know, game time and the minutes that these players are playing. The squad list on paper there looks really, really good. I expect Oscar Bob to have more game time this season. Grealish is going to be in a fight on the left-hand side with Jeremy Doku. You need a fully fit Kevin De Bruyne. Savinho depends on how many minutes he gets. But still, unless Guardiola's going to play Phil Foden or Bernardo Silva as a false nine, I would be stunned if he's not in the market for a number 9.
If Haaland does get injured, who plays that number 9 role?
I think he goes back to a false 9. I don't think you play one through the middle. And we go back to that word, fluidity. There'll be a lot of fluidity in Manchester City. But to the point as to who they look for, they have to find a Julian Alvarez. When Julian Alvarez was signed from River Plate, there's nobody at Manchester City fan base that was saying, yes, we got Julian Alvarez. They didn't know who he was, let's be honest, right? And most people that follow European football did not know who Julian Alvarez was. They had to go and search him and what he was doing at River Plate. They would not have expected that the minor investment that they made into Julian Alvarez would turn into this sort of windfall of money coming into the club because of the performances and the profile of player that Julian Alvarez has become. Finding that guy is different. And that's a difficult part. That's difficult for Manchester City. If they do, then I do think that you need a second number 9, though. I do think, God forbid, Erling Haaland gets injured. You do need goals. You do need number 9s. You do need somebody that can provide you with a final touch. I think that's the job of
And he is a player.
And he is a City.
And he is a player, Haaland, that's picked up injuries.
Yeah.
He said it, Guardiola. He said, I'm going to have to rest him. I'm going to have to take him off at half-time in pre-season games. So the build is there when you look at him, but he's a big boy who's going to pick up sort of muscular injuries. So, again, I'd be stunned if Guardiola doesn't go in the market. Has to.